Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today as I give you an overview of the Mazebook Dark Horse Direct exclusive hardcover. And I'll also be comparing it to the original hardcover. Join me. Now, before getting started, I do want to thank the folks at Dark Horse Direct for sending me a copy of this hardcover. A couple of years ago, the Astonishing Melanie and I actually did an overview of the original hardcover, and it was one of my favorite reads of 2022. It was a very powerful read, a sad read. It will break your heart, but a hopeful read too, nonetheless. Now, this is the book that is only available through Dark Horse Direct, and I'll leave a link in the description where you can get this particular version of the book. But first, let's take a closer look at it, and then we'll compare it to the size of the original hardcover. Of course, you've got the maze design right here, and this red thread that's going all around the book. Even in the back, spelling out Mazebook right here. And the very top is Jeff Lemire's name. Down here is the title of the book, Mazebook. And let's take a closer look at the spine. You have the Dark Horse logo here, Jeff Lemire, Mazebook, and Dark Horse down there. And then again, Mazebook. Now, the interesting thing about this is it has this cloth-wrapped feel to it. So it's like an embroidery almost. That's exactly what this feels like. And it's very important because if you've read the book, you know what the thread means. And I'll give you the pitch of the book here in a little bit. Now, we're not done with the description of the book before we look at the size, but it also has this metallic red foil gilding on the book block. So very similar to what they did in the pages of like Sin City, the big library editions, the hardcovers that come in slipcases. So really quick, here it is right next to the original hardcover, Mazebook, to kind of give you an idea of how big it is. And there we have the spines of the books and the backs of the books. But to kind of give you a better idea as to how much bigger it is, I wanted to show this particular angle. So this really has the dimensions of those library edition books that Dark Horse puts out, like this book right here. This is Black Hammer, of course, another Jeff Lemire book. But they've also done books like Harrow County and The Goon and Hellboy and the Sin City library editions that come in the slipcases. But yeah, it does seem to have the same kind of dimensions as these books. Just a very unique cover. And of course, these gilded pages. And I'm sure you probably saw that there is a ribbon. Okay, I'm going to crack the book open and give you just a small pitch because I have talked about the book before. But mainly I'm going to show off how big the artwork is and we'll compare it to the artwork of the original hardcover. All right, let's go ahead and get this beautiful limited edition open. You have red end sheets right here, looking very similar to the end sheets that they used in the original hardcover. But this is new right here. This is a creator-signed tip-in, and it's actually bound to the book and printed in this really thick, glossy paper. Signed by Jeff Lemire, and this is number 250 out of 1,000. So this is limited to 1,000 copies while supplies last. The Mazebook title page right there, written and drawn by Jeff Lemire, letters by Steve Wands, cover and chapter breaks by Jeff Lemire, and then the Mazebook created by Jeff Lemire. Now, the design, including the design of the original hardcover, this one right here, and the embroidered design is all done by Tom Mueller. And that's a name that should be familiar to some of you all if you've been getting the collections of the Krakoa era X-Men, for example. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not going to go deep into the story because I've already done that, and I talked about how much I love it, and it's one of my favorite reads. What's the pitch? Well, this is the story of this gentleman right here. He's in his 50s. He's a building inspector, and his name is Will Warren, who is a loner and just depressed, disconnected from everybody, wandering around the city all by himself. And you start seeing some colors in his life. Colors that remind him of a happier time. Because if you've noticed the lack of colors here towards the beginning, with the exception of this flashback. And this flashback and the color red, remember the thread plays an important part through the story, which is the design of the book throughout it, came from a sweater that was his, but his daughter would take it from him and start wearing it. And that is Wendy. And you find out that 10 years ago, his daughter passed away. And he's starting to forget things. He's starting to forget her face. And it's heartbreaking and how he's dealing with it. And as I mentioned, he's disconnected. You know, there's coworkers that want to go out and grab a drink with him. And he's like, no, I think I'm just going to go back home. He does his job. And throughout the story, you find out that he's been getting phone calls at exactly the same time every night. And the other thing is that his daughter, while she was at the hospital, and before she went to the hospital, before she got sick, was obsessed with puzzles and maze books. She would doodle on them and start figuring them out while she was at the hospital. So that does come to play. And it at the end of the first chapter, so this collects all 5 issues of the series of Mazebook, he gets a phone call. And again, he's starting to forget her face. And he gets a phone call, but this time he decides to answer. This is at 3:15 a.m. And when he answers the phone call, it's Wendy on the other end. And all she says is that she's in the middle. Or she's at the center. And he doesn't believe it. She's at the center. You need to find me, Daddy. And that's where it begins. And that's where the mystery begins. And you can find out for yourself how all of it ends. And is it a trick? Is it really her? Is he stepping into another dimension? Is it heaven? What exactly is happening? It is a heartbreaking story, just like Jeff Lemire loves to write. And it is his artwork. And the beauty of it is that there is hope. I will say that at the end. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Even thinking about this book. Oof. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the ribbon. Yes, so there is a ribbon here, and the ribbon has this satin finish to it. So I love these. I am a sucker for these bookmark ribbons that some publishers like to use. And let's look in the back here at the extras. So all the way in the back, I'm going to showcase some of the extras here. These are the variant covers by different creators, like Dean Ornstrom right there, who co-created the Black Hammer universe. Matt Kent right there. And a little behind the scenes on Mazebook, how it was all put together when it started. And just a few extras back here. And your end sheets. Now let's take a look at the build and then we'll do a little quick comparison. 258 pages, sewn binding, printed in this thick glossy paper. And what I want to do is go back here to do a quick comparison to this book, the sizes. Okay, let's go ahead and open them up. As I said, it's got the same end sheets, same kind of red finish to it. Mazebook, which we'll skip the picture, but yeah, you can probably see just from here how much bigger the art is. And the paper stock seems to be a thicker glossy paper than the paper stock they used here. But let's look a little bit closer at just how much bigger the art is compared to this printing right here. And because of the different paper stock, this thicker, glossier paper, the tints look just a little bit different. They look a little bit lighter than the tints over here. And that's mainly due to the different paper stock they are using. Now, the color theme is something I didn't talk about, but it's basically the same thing we've seen in books before, in movies, and in comics, where the color represents a happier time. So everything in the present world is just gloomy and dark, but the happier time always brings the color back into this book. So I'll just do a quick little spread pages comparison here, and the way the book lays over, mainly due to the sewn binding, and of course that eye that you saw. But that is it. Again, if you're interested in the book, the description of the video does have the link to the Dark Horse Direct. That, as they say, is that. And that was the content and page count and build, and of course the comparison to the original hardcover of this particular book. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a big fan of Jeff Lemire, if you even knew about this exclusive Dark Horse Direct hardcover, and what you thought about Mazebook, if you've read it, what your favorite Jeff Lemire story is. And again, if you're interested in this book, in the description of the video, I did leave the link where you can go and purchase it exclusively through Dark Horse Direct. Any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.